This is part 2 of the Dice Roller app. So what I've done is I have added some sound, some animation, and also a touch gesture so that I can tap on the image to re-roll the dice. So yeah, I will show you how to add the sound, add the little animation for the image, and how to add the tap gesture. So you can click on the image to have it roll the dice. Alright, we are going to start in our viewcontroller.swift file. And right up at the top, because we're adding sound, we have to import a different library. So I'm just going to be going through and commenting out some of the lines of code you need. So to comment something in or out, you highlight it and press Command/. And so when I press Command/, I uncommented out this importing this library. So we want to import AV Foundation. That's going to allow us to add sound to our app. Next up, we are going to go down into our variables and constants. And down at the bottom of that, we're going to add something. We're going to add a variable called audio player, and it's going to be of type AV audio player. Exclamation mark. We are going to create this function play sound. And another thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add in the sound file. So the way I did that is I did a right click on my Dice Roller tutorial file. I said new group. I originally called it sounds. This I'll call sounds too, just because I'm showing you how to do it. Alright, and then you can drag your WAV file. This will be linked in the assets, so you can download it and add it to your own app. And I will give credit in the description for the person who recorded it. I'm going to say copy items if needed, create groups, and I'm going to make sure I'm adding it to my target Dice Roller tutorial. When I have those all checked off, I can say finish, and then I have my sounds2 file with my rolling dice wave file. So I have already done that down here in my sounds file with my dice roll.wave. So I wanted to show you how to do it, but I'm actually going to delete this one now because I already have it in mine. So you have your sound file in. We've imported the AV library. We created this variable called var audio player. So next up, we have to create a function. So I'm going down into the function section of my app, and I'm creating a function called play sound. In that sound, I'm going to create a path. That path is going to be for dice roll.wave. I added the .wave right into the resource name. Of course, I could put of type wave. I just did it this way. You could do it either way. I'm going to have to put it in a do catch block because it can throw an error. So audio player is going to be equal to the audio player contents of URL. So what you're going to have to do is you're just going to have to copy down this function into the function section of your app. If it does catch an error, I'm just going to print couldn't load file so that I know what's going on. Once you have that done, then you can go into the places where you roll your dice, which is the buttons. So button for D4, I'm just going to say play sound. And button for D6, play sound. All the buttons, I'm going to play a sound. I want to run it just to test it out. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it is playing a sound when I roll the dice. So far, so good. I like to test it out on each step I do. In case I get an error, it's easier to fix. Next up, let's add that shake gesture. So I'm going to go into functions, and I'm going to create a function called shake. I'm going to create a constant in that function called shake. It's going to be of CA basic animation for key path position. The duration is going to be 0.2. If you want it to shake faster, you could make it 0.1. I'm going to repeat twice. Auto reverse is true. It's going to come. I'm going to create a from point and a from value and a to point and to value. Then I'm going to shake from value to value. Then you have to add that into the layer, and then you put in your key position, which we created up here. So that should add the shake function, and then we can just call that function whenever the button is pressed. So just like we called play sound, we are also going to call shake. I'm going to run it to test it really quickly. So the image shakes a little bit while we're rolling. I like that so far. Of course, you can slow it down, speed it up. It's up to you. You can set it the way you like it. So next up, we have to add a touch gesture. So I am going to go up into the variables, and I'm going to create one variable, one constant. The variable is going to be called dice number, and it's going to be equal to 0. I think later on you'll see why we created that. And then I'm going to create a constant, let tap rec equal a UI tap gesture recognizer. Inside of view did load, I'm going to add 2 lines of code. The first one is dice image dot is user interaction enabled. I'm going to set that equal to true. I need to set that equal to true so that I can tap the image and have it react. So don't forget about that line of code. That's important. I'm getting an error right now, but that's just because I haven't uncommented out my other functions. So you're going to want to add these 2 functions. So let's go over the first one. The first one is going to be called function tapped view, and we're going to pass in a view. That is why up here in view did load we wrote tapped view. The view is going to be the dice image. We're passing that in because that is what we want tapped. That is what we want. All right. So it's a function called tap view. The parameter we're passing in is a UI view, and we're passing in the dice image. I put in a print statement here, tap, just so I could see that this is working. You don't really need that there. If you're testing it out, trying to get it to work, you might want to put that in there. Test things out. That's always a good idea, but you don't need it. We're going to let tap equal a UI tap gesture recognizer. The target will be self, and the action is we are going to open up another function called do the tap. So when you're having the selector open up another function, you're going to have to start that function with @objc. It opens it up to Objective-C so that this can call that function. So just keep that in mind. And don't forget to put in view.add gesture recognizer, add the tap. Cool. So the other function that we're adding, this is do the tap. This gets called by the previous function, tap view. So when it gets called, it's going to shake, it's going to play sound. I put in this print statement here because I was testing things out, but again, you don't need that print statement unless you're testing things out. You're trying to get yours to work. And then I put in a switch. A switch is just another way of doing like some if statements. What this switch is going to do is it's going to check the dice number. The dice number is this variable that we created right up here. We created a dice number and we set it equal to 0. Then every time we roll the dice, so if we press the D4 button, we're going to set the dice number to equal to 4. If we roll the D6 button, then dice number is equal to 6. D8 button, dice number is equal to 8. I think you get it, like so on and so on. So you're going to want to go through each of these buttons and make sure you're setting the dice number to be equal to the dice that you want rolled. That way, when we check our dice number, in case 4, we can create a random number. So we're going to be a random int from 0 to 4, and we are going to set the dice image.image to be equal to one of the D4 array index number equal to the random number that we just created. This code is going to look familiar to you because we did a similar code every time we hit one of the buttons. So if we hit the D20 button, then we want the random number to be from 0 to 20, up to 20, not including 20. So yeah, that's why that code looks familiar. It is the same code we used for the buttons, and now we're using it in the switch. So that when you roll a D4 dice, then when you touch the image, when you do the tap gesture on that image, you're going to roll the D4 again. You're not going to roll a different type of dice or anything like that. That's why we have this switch built in here. Whenever you're creating a switch, you always need a default. For my default, I'm just going to print tap error so that I know what's going on. And yeah, that is the last function that you need to add. So that was pretty quick. You're probably going to have to pause and slow down the video to finish it. But what we just did really quickly was we added sound, we added a tap gesture, and we also added that shake function so that our image shakes a little bit. I like to test it out before I go. So we got our sound, we got our animation, and we got our tap gesture in there. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions, put them in the comments, and attached below is going to be the assets folder with everything you need to create this app. Okay, thanks a lot for watching.